Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas.
Oh, and I'm Don. It's weird when any episode Chris isn't here, it messes up my whole entry flow.
No, you got that. You got that instinct, but he's got family stuff. So no, we got to step up. How was your Thanksgiving, by the way?
It was good. I went up to Georgia. My mom's side of the family's from up there, so went up there, saw some family, visited with the grandma, did all of that. It was a good time. How was yours?
Oh, it was good. I went down to Florida and it was great because Thanksgiving can always be like that heated time with family. The worst we got to with like talking about top topics was all agreeing, man, the Miami TSA is the worst. Am I right? And we just started hating on them the entire time.
Yeah, ours was pretty relaxed. We watched the dog show, and I mean, there were some heated opinions regarding what was a good dog and a not good dog in terms of I guess breed wise, if it was a real dog or not. And that was pretty much as most intense as it got.
That actually does sound pretty good. But you're the one who has the reins on today's episode. What are we doing here?
So I don't know if you want to jump into news first or
Oh, you want to keep it like I mean they see the title card, but if you want to keep me in suspense, you're welcome to it. But
we can for a minute. I had a slight I don't know for video game news, I had a quick one. If you want to
yeah,
do human news first.
yeah, well, this is more whale news than human news.
Better,
So
more
oh
exciting.
yeah. Oh yeah, this is actually good news.
Is this
So
about the new whale or semi
not the
new
new
whale?
we have a new whale? New whale dropped?
Kind of, sort of new whale dropped. I think it was the first time this one whale was seen.
Oh, that's nice.
Anyway, do
That's
your thing first. I'll find what I was saying.
Yeah. So in particular, I was just going through this. Apparently, humpback whales are doing better than they have in a very, very long time. Their numbers at one point were like around 10,000 globally, and now they're up to 80,000, which is pretty cool.
That's very
Uh,
good. So what I was talking about, the ginkgo toothed beak whale has been seen alive at sea for the first time after years of searching. It's a porpoisey styled sort of whale. They were previously only known from dead individuals that had washed ashore or been bycatch like, through commercial fishing operations. Um, but they were known for being a very deep diving species. I believe this was off the coast of Mexico. And
what
they
is it
finally
called?
found some live ones.
What was its name again?
The ginkgo toothed, Ginkgo toothed beaked whale, Mesoplodon ginkgondus.
Oh,
So yeah, they're a very shy whale. They're very deep diving. I think they're pretty open ocean. Um, pretty. This is the first time we've got some photos of them out in the wild. And they have a bit of a tusk sort of thing on their face. I guess the males fight with those. They think they've had some scarring. Um, so yeah, they found a battle scarred male, a female with a calf, and they shot them with a special crossbow that just does like a little biopsy, which I doubt the whale enjoys. But it also doesn't really hurt the whale.
there's something truly majestic whenever like a conservationist has to be such a majestic creature. Load up the darts.
Yeah, so they're named for that because the males have a pair of teeth that resemble fan-shaped leaves from a ginkgo tree. And the tips of the tusks grow into males when they mature, and they are believed to be used as weapons. They are mainly a fish and squid eater. Like the
That's
females
awesome.
don't really have the pronounced teeth, but the males seem to retain these large. So they think between that and some scarring on them, they think that they're a it's a side effect of them fighting.
Sick. I mean, all my news was going to say that humpback whales have learned how to eat different foods in order to survive. That's way cooler, though. Like the fact that they're actually alive. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool that we've known they existed and we've had them. I guess they've been picked up on sonar as well as I guess the sounds they make. That was suspected to be them, but this is the first time they've ever been seen alive in the wild, which is
excellent.
pretty exciting and also really cool that there's it's they're not huge, but it's still an animal that's over a ton that has to interact with the surface. It's one thing if it's a deep sea, you know, benthic animal, but something that's engaging multiple times a day with the surface of the ocean is finally been photographed and stuff.
Hey, I'm glad that someone has pictures of it. I mean, it's a really cool looking whale. I mean, the fact that it has a weird little fang is kind of a little creepy, but it's kind of cool. Um,
Yep.
for your gaming news, did it involve a certain Pokemon Mega Stone dropping?
Yes, probably. Which Pokemon? I was about there's a side quest mystery gift regarding a Pokemon that already has Mega Stones.
Okay, so let's start with that one.
So there's a in Pokemon ZA, there's a new mystery gift, which I think you can just get via internet. I think it's free. It gives you the two Mewtwo Mega Stones and activates the interesting name Project M side mission to catch Mewtwo. So maybe a fun little reference naming there for the Smash fans out there.
Yo, you know those people are hungry for any kind of attention.
Well, it was like in ZA when the Corbeau said that we were going to have a good old fashioned Pokemon showdown, and I had to stop and stare for a minute. And I was like, do they know?
Check the logs. Did he say that? Did he actually say that?
He says Pokemon Showdown. Yeah.
Oh my god. Like they
He uses
know.
the I mean,
They,
I'm sure they're aware of it.
they have to know. They all know.
But so I know you had a different Mega Stone
Oh
related news.
yeah. They dropped Mega Lucario Z. Like,
I
you've seen
guess.
this thing, right?
Yeah, it is. For some reason, I thought it was like a weird zero aura thing. The coloration I thought was interesting. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts on it? I need to look at a fresher picture though.
Like I okay. I hate that they kind of just gave it fighting steel. That was confirmed. It's fighting steel type.
Do you know what? Do you know what it reminds me of? Maybe it's the hair thingies and vaguely the color scheme. Even though I think she's more yellow and black. It reminds me of was it Elsa or whatever the Gen 5 Electric Gym Leader.
Awesome. It reminds
It
me
seems like
of
of
Natsume
Hitsu of
Miku.
Miku.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like her persona or whatever.
it is the first Sona of Natsume Miku. Yeah, I get what you're telling about from like the trainer perspective, but the memes I'm keep seeing is like Lucario became a Vocaloid anime waifu. What I feel like the typing is a waste because any other time you do this, like be it Mewtwo or Charizard, it's a different typing and different stat spread.
I
So
mean, I wouldn't say every time. I mean, when they have a secondary mega,
yes, with the
yes, I agree.
secondary one, like, okay, what's the difference? It shouldn't just be stat spreads and ability. Most times it's also a type added or a type removed.
I would assume I haven't seen the trailer. I would assume that this will be more specially inclined. I mean, that said, well, you know what? Normal Mega Lucario is 145, 140 offenses, so um, it's not already pretty balanced. I don't know. Maybe it'll be. They're not really giving us a lot. Like the design, it doesn't look particularly bulky. Doesn't look.
During
Maybe it's going to be extra fast. I don't know.
I think it's the speed because during the trailer it shows Mega Lucario going up against Mega Lucario Z. They both fire Aura Spheres, and Mega Lucario Z's clearly hits him first.
Interesting. Okay, well
So
then, yeah, maybe it's going to be faster because it's normal Mega Lucario is base 112, which is quite speedy, but not excessively so,
so
especially in
it's
the modern era.
so probably like a 140 or 145 to speed, and then like a special, like maybe like a focus and special attack, as opposed to like being a mix
Yeah, yeah. I
attacker.
mean, you could very easily drop that 145 in attack. You could take 40 points out of that and reallocate them to the speed. Comparing the other, stat spread. You could very easily do something like that just so that Fluttermane can have a predator.
That is the best way I've heard anyone, but just have it something that it's afraid of, please.
Yeah, just make it be faster than Fluttermane and Jinpao.
Yeah, it is.
I would
Look,
like for it to be faster than the 135 tier has gotten very crowded. I would not mind if Lucario got to be a little quicker. It's going to be frail. I don't foresee any Lucario form being excessively bulky. So yeah, I would like to maybe they go fast and they make it specialized in one offense.
would you keep adaptability?
I think adaptability is a fine ability. I that said, base Lucario got a nice little buff in the last time since Mega existed, with Inner Focus now preventing Intimidate. So the turn, switches happen before the Mega evolution. So something like a Landorus or an Incineroar, if it switches in on you, you still block the Intimidate drop, and then you get to Mega. So adaptability, I think, is fine. It hits really hard, and like that gives it some pretty respectable power on things like Bullet Punch that are weaker power. But I don't know. I would a different ability I think would be nice. Just to mix it up. If they wanted to go crazy, they could give it Steely Spirit, which is actually kind of just adaptability, but maybe worse. So maybe not Steely Spirit.
What if they had okay, so they also showed it off using a psychic type attack, which is why everyone like thought like when they first saw it, oh, it's gonna be fighting psychic. But
I
then
mean,
it
it
like
does learn Psychic naturally, and Zen
yeah, but
Headbutt,
we all figured it
and
was like
Calm
a
Mind.
thought it was like a hint of like, oh, here's where its true powers lie. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I would like to see it be a little more specially focused, and maybe instead of adaptability, it has a more I don't know, just a different ability. I think would be fine. I think adaptability is perfectly serviceable, and I think it does let you. I mean, more damage is always good.
Amen. Um, hey, next week it drops the DLC. We get to talk about that in the next episode. But for now, I mean, you got something for me. You got some kind of
Yes.
game. More Pokemon. What are we doing?
So not Pokemon. So something that also recently dropped, and this is quite the big event. I know we've had a previous episode about it. How familiar are you with RuneScape?
Everything you taught me about RuneScape is the 97% of RuneScape I know.
Okay, so I'll do a little quick synopsis. So RuneScape, the original RuneScape came out in, I believe, 2001. A couple brothers, the Gowers brothers, made an early version. Andrew Gower made a version when he was a student at Cambridge University in the late 90s. Him and his brother founded Jagex, the still RuneScape developer company. And the very first RuneScape, which is now known as RuneScape Classic, came out in 2001. It was a much more pared down version of the modern game. I mean, you had your guy, you would go around, you would click on trees or rocks to mine them or chop them. There was very basic combat, like click and wait. You would hit the monster, vice versa. You would eat food. It was medieval click around adventure game. You could go fishing. You could cook the fish and then use that fish as food while you went and fight monsters. The monsters might drop good loot. Lots of stuff like that. Pretty classic early era MMO. And then around 2004, RuneScape had a pretty significant graphical update where it became known as RuneScape 2. I'll pull you a little thing up real quick.
So like when did RuneScape like truly like take off? Like obviously
So
I know about it from my youth.
RuneScape 2, I would say, was really where it took off. Um, I'm going to show you too. Now there's some, at least for me, I think the era like early 2000s, mid 2000s, 2004 to 2008, maybe the RuneScape 2 era. So I sent you two. The first one is of RuneScape 2. The second one is of the original RuneScape Classic. And
Okay.
as you can see, the graphics are kind of part of the charm at this point. And then later on, RuneScape became changed to RuneScape 3, where they brought in a much more modern MMO style, like imagine more of a World of Warcraft style graphics style, and changed the combat to more of a hot bar and things like that. And there were some other things that were not well received. It resulted in a lot of the player base starting to leave, and part of that was missing the good old days of RuneScape 2, which, like I said, was sort of the many people's opinion golden age of RuneScape. A lot of iconic things came out from there within the game and the community and stuff like that. And then in February 22nd of 2013, a Jagex employee had a backup version of RuneScape from 2007, considered like the golden era, and used that to rebuild what is now known as old school RuneScape, which is now of the two actually the more popular RuneScape and the one I play. It's really been having a renaissance lately. They've been putting out a lot of new content. Um, Often having like upwards of like 200,000 concurrent online players. it's really fun. The mobile version is excellent. It's really optimized for phone because like a lot of the the graphic style and everything else is a mid 2000s online Java game basically. Even though the world is unbelievably huge now.
I mean, I can imagine. I mean, I remember back the last time we talked about this, we talked about a lot of the different mounts and everything else. So when you're going through the game, like how big it is, like can you go from one side of the map to the other with a mount, or there's a special way to do
So
it?
there's
Like
no mounts in RuneScape actually.
there aren't any mounts. I
Horses
thought
don't
there were.
in the world of RuneScape. Horses do not exist. I think there's actually a dialogue one point where someone mentions a horse and someone else goes, "It's like a hornless unicorn," and they declare that to be ridiculous. There are no horses in RuneScape.
Okay, noted.
But so RuneScape, old school RuneScape. So RuneScape's had a lot of skills, and in RuneScape, you maybe even heard like jokes or whatever, or seen like 99 magic or whatever. Um, Original RuneScape skills have always been a thing. There was a base level amount of skills in the very first start of the game. Things like attack, defense, magic, ranged, cooking, fishing, wood cutting, mining, blacksmithing, things like that. And then they've slowly added on other skills. Some skills like Slayer, where you're tasked to go kill certain monsters, and like basically the lore of the Slayer skill is the higher your character's learning specific ways to fight rare monsters. So higher skill Slayer skill, you can fight more unique monsters with better drops. Things like that. Other skills like rune crafting lets you make runes, which you use to cast magic. So a lot of skills fit together. Fishing, example like the fishing skill, combos with the cooking skill, maybe also with the wood cutting skill if you need to make a fire to cook your fish, to then have food to go do combat, things like that. So lots of interconnected skilling as well. However, old school RuneScape has not had a new skill since it was released in 2013.
Like everyone's just been cool with that.
So a thing with old school RuneScape, one of the reasons why it came to be was there was some changes made, and I apologize to any RuneScape 3 fans out there. I haven't revisited it. RuneScape 3 got into some microtransactions, a lot of sort of daily things like that, where it's sign in for double XP, which kind of soured the player base. RuneScape's a very, very grindy game, and often people are hostile to anything that can be perceived as a shortcut or a pay to win sort of model, which is why we lost a lot of players in the RuneScape 3 era. And one thing that happened with old school RuneScape, and I think why it is, in my opinion, I'm very biased, but one of the best MMOs out there, is now any changes really that are going to be made to the game, the devs put a poll in game for the players to vote on the changes. And they have to pass, I think it's like a 70% pass rate to be added to the game. And with a big thing like sailing, like the first couple polls were like, would you like a new skill? And then eventually it had concepts for 3 different new skills, and then sailing one, and then it was, do you want sailing as a skill? So there were multiple layers of polls over many months of work, and I'm sure years of development.
What were one of the skills that didn't quite make the cut?
I think there was a while ago there was one that was warding, which goes crafting. We as a skill we already have that's mainly crafts or smithing physical items. Warding was to be like creating magical items. I think the player base decided it was too close to crafting. There was a shamanism skill involved around like nature-based magics and stuff like that. But the one that won was sailing. And like I said, in terms of a big deal, I would argue it's up there with like the addition of the fairy type, but without ever there being really a precedent of there being added darker steel types. Like this is a huge shakeup. And if you look in the notes, you'll see the original map of Galenor. That is the world of RuneScape. And if you scroll down, you'll see the new map,
Okay.
and you'll notice that there's a
Mhm.
whole bunch of stuff in the oceans now. Before the oceans were completely irrelevant. You could charter some ships to cross the 2 land masses before you learned your teleport spells and things like that to cross to the other continents. But they see it's an absolute, and the world of Galar is massive. The free to play zone of the game in that is maybe like a tenth of that map. Where even the free to play versions. I mean, growing up as a kid, I played the free to play version. I felt like it was a massive world, and looking at it through this perspective, it's just a blip of the whole map.
I'm just looking at all these islands and just thinking like Man, the devs must have been sitting on so much stuff that they hadn't gotten a chance to use, like made a bunch of new assets. So this is a lot of work to put into what is effectively like this is just like the most crazy retro style. Like most people wouldn't even think of putting this kind of work into a game a tenth as old as this. Like we literally have Halo quote unquote infinite shutting down in 4 years.
It's a true it's a true labor of love. I think a lot of the Jagex devs and moderators are very active online, and they really seem to care about the game. There's some crazy stories around the lore of old school RuneScape. There's been a couple famous updates over the years that, like, oh, they updated the game on Friday and it broke the game, but they didn't realize that because they all went to the pub, and then 10 drinks deep, they're back in the office trying to fix and successfully fixing a game breaking bug that occurred right before a Friday update. So it's there's a lot of story behind the RuneScape evolution and stuff, but it's like I said, I think that with the polling system and a level of devs that care, it's really done something special. I mean, this game has been running in some capacity since 2000. But anyway, so the sailing update added a brand new skill, sailing, which interacts with a lot of the other skills, as you'd imagine. Things like the construction skill, because you're building your ships. You start out with a raft. A few levels in, you can build a skiff, and later on, you can build a sloop. You can hire crewmates. You can do deep sea trawling. You can salvage. You can do speed trials. You can do deliveries. You can hunt ocean monsters. There's much and more to do, but we'll jump into it. They added a bunch of new trees. They added a bunch of new, like all those islands. Some of those islands have unique monsters, stuff we'll talk about today. And also, they added a lot of animals.
I do have one question, and you might cover it later, but I didn't get a chance to read through all the notes. Can you be a pirate?
Kind of. I mean, you haven't. So I think there was a bit where you could climb onto other players' boats and their cargo holds were not like locked to you. So people, there was a little bit of that. But as of right now, we do not have ship to ship PvP, and the ship combat is cannon based, and it's a little clunky right now. I think it might enhance as the time goes on. I would imagine it would. Things like this. I mean, this is all still running off parts of a game engine from 2004. So it's honestly incredible what they've been able to do with the fact that you can be in your boat, seeing other players in their boats with their crewmates, while seeing other groups of players on the shoreline, maybe fishing or cutting trees all at the same time. All with something that's held together with like absolute spaghetti.
RuneScape has done like a better job in like giving people like at least a pirate-esque experience and something like Skull and Bones did when it tried
I will
releasing
say,
like
let me
on the
find. I think I have a
Xbox.
picture. So, uh, people joke about fashionscape. So I put on my best. If you want, I just put a picture in there. So I put on my best some piratey clothes. You can't see. You can kind of see my shoulder pirate, and then I also have my pet Quetzal as well on my. This is me on my skiff. I just put in there. So because you're just sailing
I
around,
remember this bird.
a lot of my combat gear is not really relevant. So I went strictly for nautical. I was trying to go for a more gentleman pirate sort of fashion.
I dig it, bro. This is lit. You should dress like this in real life. This will get you the respect of your
Oh yeah, and
peers.
I say it was. I was playing it on opening day. I actually got up a little early, 5 a.m. our time on US East is when it dropped. The game was obviously packed. Everyone on their rafts, building up, trying to upgrade to higher ships. Everyone sailing around the same early quests and routes. People typing out sea shanties. It was a really fun time. But jumping into it, so we added a lot of new animals to make the Seas of Galenor alive. Some of which are just actual animals, like that bull. Like I just put the bull shark they added. And they'll be swimming around. There's
Hey, wait. I was looking at the gills like, oh, they didn't add enough gills. Oh well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some sort of spaghetti code reason. But we have bull sharks, hammerhead sharks, great white. Some are aggressive and will attack your boat. Um,
And they do damage?
they do damage to
It's a
your boat.
boat.
Yes,
Oh
but
god.
so your boats are made of different woods. You can build repair kits. You can fix them yourselves, or have your crew members. Once you have levels to hire them, they can do that for you too. Um, and you can hunt the animals in the sea. They added a lot of sharks. They added some seabirds, ospreys, terns, albatrosses, um, several types of ray, manta rays, and stingrays, and I believe butterfly rays are all in the game as well. And very early on, they had to do a hot fix, which occasionally Jagex will do what they call an integrity change, which is a change that is not pulled. And it's because initially, sharks and rays dropped bones, which they do not have. So as an integrity change, they did a hotfix patch, and they no longer drop bones when killed.
That's really nice of them. Like some other games would have totally just run with that, but I love that they're like, oh wait a minute, they're cartilaginous, no bones.
Yeah, I mean they
Like that's
drop other
cool.
things that you wouldn't expect a shark to have, but that's they don't drop bones.
That's nice though. I mean, like we've had so many instances of sharks eating things they really shouldn't have. Then why shouldn't they drop some gold when you kill them?
Exactly. I can pull up the drop table real quick. I'll pull it through hammerhead sharks. But I actually really like the shark designs actually. So yeah, they'll drop pieces of armor. They'll drop weapons. They can also drop fragments of corals, which are now you can be farmed underwater. Well, if you wear dive gear, you can go underwater to an underwater farming patch and farm corals, which is also a new addition.
That's fantastic. What do you do with coral? Make like armor or sell it or what?
So the coral art can be used as ingredients in various potions with the herbivore skill. So like I said, not only did they create a whole new skill, they created tons of ways for things enabled by the skill to feed back into other skills.
That's so cool. Why aren't these guys getting invited to the game awards? Like they should just be your honored guest. Like they don't have to always sign up for something, but like these
I would
people are freaking
expect. I
legends.
think they typically show up in some capacity within the MMO award stuff. But jumping into some of the new creatures, I guess we'll stick with the more sea creatures first. So RuneScape for a long time has had a Slayer monster, relatively high level, you need a high Slayer level to kill it, called the Cave Kraken, and that's this guy right here.
That's the stupid looking. I'm sorry.
So you
It
can
looks
very
really
much tell
silly.
older and newer monster designs. They were working with a lot more limited. I think now a lot of things have become much more refined. But yes, the Cave Krakens are very endearing in a stupid way.
He's so silly. He looks like a food processor got stuck on a balloon with arms.
Yeah, so they're Krakens. They live in a cave. There's a boss variant that's bigger. They have a chance to drop some items. But now that we're in the sea, we have several species of ocean-going Krakens, which are much larger, and also have magic-based attacks. So I think this is a separate species. So we have the Cthulhu head-looking. This the pygmy Kraken, and then the
See, now that's scary.
and then there's the vampire Kraken. There's also an armored and spiny Kraken. Of the groups, the pygmy kraken is the weakest, and the vampire kraken is the strongest. With the vampire kraken living in the very cold northern seas, where you have to make some upgrades to your boat, so the ice doesn't mess you up. So I have a theory here. So we know the krakens all use a magic-based attack. As you can see, the cave kraken has a different mouth-facing area and no eyeballs. So my theory, given the
Okay.
color similarities, is that at some point in RuneScape's past, a group of pygmy krakens became stuck within the cave system and isolated, maybe a rock slide or something, and they adapted into the cave krakens, like what we see with certain species of fish, like the Mexican tetra, evolving into the cave tetra. They lost their eyes because there's not really a point in having eyes in total darkness. Um, that mouth configuration might be more effective if the cave they're in has a lot of small pools. So if you're grabbing prey from out of the water and dragging it to your mouth, it might be easier to have a mouth that's more upwardsly located. And they do still have the same magic attacks. So I would imagine that's sort of my argument for them being a convergent species of kraken with the new krakens.
So instead of being a silly little goober for gaming reasons, it's like, oh no, yeah, this is very much in line with what a cave dwelling species would do. Uh,
Now that we know
and
about
there,
these krakens, which would make sense if you think about assuming the world of Gelinor, the high seas have not been sailed much. People might be unfamiliar with the basically original variant of the Kraken. They've only known about the Cave Kraken.
and the cave kraken are smaller.
Kind of. There's Cave Krakens and there's the Kraken. The Kraken is a pretty good size. It is a
I,
boss monster.
'Cause I was thinking like there are a lot of animals that will shrink down in size when there's a lack of food around. Like we've seen similar things with elephants when they're trapped on islands getting a lot smaller. So I love the idea that this thing not only adapted its body but also got smaller to make up for the fact that there wasn't a lot of food for it to
Yes,
consume.
I do think the cave kraken, that's the boss variant I just sent you. That one's probably about the size of the pygmy krakens you see out on the high seas. Maybe a little smaller. It's hard to tell because of how the body and tentacle orientation is. But I do think
Those
it.
tentacles, sorry, they remind me of like the Humboldt squid ones with the hooks in them.
Yes, and the vampire kraken's coloration and stuff reminds me a little bit of the vampire squid, as well, which is a very fun deep sea dwelling squid. That does a really fun thing where they have bioluminescent glowies on their eyes or next to their eyes, and when they're approached by a predator, they'll glow them and then slowly fade them away. So it seems like they're moving away, but they're not actually doing anything. So it'd be like if someone pulled a gun on you and you pretended to walk down the stairs behind the couch.
I have never seen that attempted in an action movie. Now I kind of want to see it done.
Right.
That's really good.
So jumping on to a new sailing update creature, but a land-based sort of. So we get a new race in this game now, the Tortugans. They are a race of turtle people that live on some of the islands.
Oh
Um,
boy.
and they are nautical folk. One of the quests you have to do involves having to fight and slay this thing right here, the Shellbane Griffin.
That's hey, that's I know that vulture.
Yes, that's what I was
I've
getting to.
seen that head before.
So the Shellbane Griffin's face bears a very striking resemblance to the bearded vulture.
So pretty. Love
Yeah,
these birds.
yeah. So the Shellbane Griffin is troubling the Tortugans. The bearded vultures live in parts of Africa and Asia. They're a unique vulture in that, and also unique animal. The overwhelming majority of their diet is bones.
I've seen the videos where it's literally just this dude like, "Here, buddy, have a femur," and the whole bone just goes right down the gullet. It is horrifying. I
Yeah, and
love this
sometimes
thing.
they'll pick them up and drop them to break them as well. Um, it also makes sense that something like the bearded vulture, yeah, so the bearded vulture can actually fly with bones that weigh over 8.8 pounds, which is roughly their own body weight. So that's quite impressive. And it makes sense that something like this would be a problematic animal for a turtle folk, because we know there are some eagles and stuff that will catch turtles and drop them. It would also make sense. Bearded vultures have been known to kill tortoises in this way. Particularly, it's like of the few live things they do eat, it's often the tortoises. So it makes sense that they could be grabbing a Shelbane griffin being much larger than a vulture, could be grabbing these turtle folk and dropping them on the rocks. Allegedly, a Greek philosopher was also killed this way when one dropped a tortoise on his head from a great height.
I mean, do be that way sometimes, but like that's insane. Like it's wait, do we have a picture of the turtle people?
Yeah, give me one moment. I can add it to the chat.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. What again, I love that they chose like the bearded vulture, but it also has the hooks on its wings. There's at least one bird in Brazil, name escapes me, that had hook wings.
The Hotson.
Yes, thank you. That's the one. Like that's what it reminds me of. A lot more than like the bearded vulture head, obviously. Then the Hotson has the clawed wings, which are a thing. Even ostriches kind of have a
That's
winged
a
claw.
Tortugan warrior I just sent you.
I love this guy. This guy's great. He's so good. Okay, can I ask, are they like, can you fight them for starters?
I believe, yeah, I think there's some you can fight. Oh, and there's also normal griffins as well. So the Shellbane Griffin is a boss variant and is a Slayer monster. There's also the normal Griffin, which is a clearly a seagull.
It's really dumb looking, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's silly.
So yeah, we
Oh,
went
goodness.
over the Shellbane Griffin, which I said I think is I really like the design. You can tell if you compare that to something like the Kraken or the Kraken to the Cave Kraken, you see they've gotten a lot better at the level of detail, and there's actually been RuneScape has a very vibrant community. Not really mods, I would say, but there's several different players. The official game client and another client called Greenlight that has a lot of plugins. One a person who goes by like 177. a while it made a plugin that translates the game to an HD version, so like dynamic lighting and shading and everything. But it has the same graphics, kind of, but a much more heightened fidelity version. And I think the devs are aware of that, and also that just plus probably a lot of practice, you get much more detailed things like the Shellbane Griffin or the new Griffin compared to the OG Kraken. And speaking about new creatures, which aren't these aren't entirely new. I guess they do exist already in RuneScape 3, but we have the Aquanite.
What in God's name? It's oh my God.
Yes,
I
so the
okay. I this is very Creature of the Black Lagoon, but I've never seen someone use this concept like it's a frog.
the Aquanite has a very creature of the Black Lagoon vibe to it. It's found in the Yinsdale Tavern, which requires and they're pretty decent, like 78 Slayer, which is a pretty decently high Slayer level. And they require 73 sailing as well to access. So RuneScape levels, as you'd imagine, they go up. Like it's like Pokemon. The lower levels are gained much faster. It's a very, very grindy game. Some people have already reached 99 sailing. These are people that were playing close to 20 hours a day, really grinding it out in very efficient manners. I'm nowhere near that, and will take me a very long time to get anywhere near 99 sailing. In RuneScape, the phrase is 92 is half of 99 because of the exponential like XP growth. The Aquanite is a freak. There's also a different version. So it's because it's a Slayer monster. A lot of Slayer monsters have a rare version of while you're fighting them while on a Slayer task. There's a stronger version called a it varies the name, but they have increased drops and are normally stronger. Maybe have some special attacks. So there's also the Elder Aquanite, which when you're fighting Aquanites on task, you have a 1 in 200 chance of that thing spawning, which is a much more powerful version. So the Aquanite
Yikes.
lives in a cave on a remote island. Few interesting things. One, its face thing with the glowy light. If you use a weapon with the slash attack style, specifically, it actually will cut off the glowy bit on its face.
Can you loot it?
No, but it lowers its defenses. So when it has the lure on, it has it basically takes a huge hit to its anti-stabbing defense. So there's three different melee combat styles. There's slash, stab, and crush. As you can imagine, it's depends on the weapon. Like something like a scimitar will be almost better on slashing, a warhammer better on crushing, maybe a rapier better for stabbing. Which makes me think that the lure is actually a defensive.
Oh.
The player examine text, when you examine one, it says it has a light on its forehead. What a pretty light, so shiny. And after you cut the light off, it says it's lost its light, poor thing. And the fact that of the three attack styles, I would imagine for to stab, that's probably the most pinpoint accuracy requiring thing versus swinging a big hammer or just hacking. So you're dazzled by the light, but once you cut the light off, you can stab it much more effectively, which makes me think it's more of a defensive tool than an offensive tool, which would also kind of make sense because it's clearly amphibious, but also land dwelling, but with the feet. Which makes me think I kind of see a sort of a mud skipper anglerfish combo, where it obviously has the mud skipper, land dwelling. It is in like an ocean cave, so it has to, I would imagine, stay moist.
It's the back legs for me that throw me off more than anything. Like the way they're rotated is so weird.
It could be closer, like how some anglerfish, like the frogfish family, have their fins sort of is like a weird little feet.
Kind of reminds me of a batfish in that regard of like having weird little fins that are like feet. Like batfish are
Yeah,
kind of like I get you. I mean, it's really cool. I've never seen any monster like it, and I'm like old, and I've played a lot of games, and like I've never seen anything quite like this creature, which is really cool to still be surprised by stuff.
yeah, and yeah, it looks like they have some level of vestigial wings. Maybe that could be some weird gills going on their neck. They have a lot going on, and they do attack with magic.
Oh God, what magic do they have?
I think it's just a zoop zoop kind of spell. It's nothing
Okay,
like exceptionally. Just their attack style. The Krakens also attack with magic as well.
Oh, makes sense. I think we have time for one more critter. Do we have anything? I don't know. I'm seeing in the notes here you have the word crab. I kind of want to learn about the crabs.
Okay, so the crabs are they're crabs. There are several varieties. I will show you a picture of the red crab, which is on the island of Pandemonium. So crabs feed into the hunter skill, and these are effectively land crabs. Which in Florida, we have, especially I see them in the Keys and stuff. The sort of I would say the most famous crabs are the Christmas Island crabs. Is that the ones that they do the crazy
Yeah.
migration across the island? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I am. And this is only a reference for the two of us. Raul. Raul is a crab.
Yes, yes, Raoul the crab. Yeah, so and these are red crabs. So I think there's some similar. It's millions of crabs crossed from the rainforest to the coast to breed. These crabs are trapped using the hunter skill on and islands within the game. You make crab traps and you bait them with offcuts from fishing, from the new deep sea fishing, which has added some fun fish like yellowfin tuna and halibut.
Pretty
And you
cool.
can catch the crabs and you can use them. You get the meat and you can also grind them into paste to use as a creation for some new potions, which will enhance the hunter skill or remove your odor, which supposedly makes your trapping better. And there's red crabs. I think there's rainbow crabs and there's purple crabs.
I don't want to see the rainbow crab if you got a picture of that.
Yeah, one moment. So that is I believe, the highest level, yeah, of the hunter crabs. Yes, it is. So that's the rainbow crab.
Oh my goodness. Like honestly, there's a million ways you could have done rainbow crab. That's a choice for it. That's really cool. Love these little dudes. I mean, they got the number of limbs wrong, but what game ever gets the number of limbs right for crabs? Like he's so cute.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And also
they're
tying in, like I said, adding so this sort of also tie in the hunter skill to the sailing skill. And I also mentioned how RuneScape has a farming skill where you can farm things like trees to cut for wood, or various crops for food items, or a lot of herbs for potion ingredients. Um, After you do the mission, the quest where you save the Tortugans from the tyranny of the Shellbane Griffin, you unlock the Coral Nursery where you can plant coral frags, which as people, there's three types of corals. There's umbral, staghorn, and pillar corals. And the corals can be used as ingredients in potions as well. And as you know, and maybe people don't know, corals, being a collection of very small organisms, coral frag is basically a small chunk of the living coral. If you want to have a reef aquarium or something like that, you can buy them at the store and use them to grow corals. Also in coral farming, you'll see where they're trying to reestablish corals. They'll take small plugs with a coral fragment on like a piece of calcium, and they'll put them into like a grating or something in the proper area so they can slowly regrow and reestablish. So coral farming is a real thing. And the coral nursery, I'll put a picture of what the thing looks like. So it's actually extremely accurate to what an actual coral nursery looks like,
holy crap.
where you put all the little frag plugs on it. Yeah.
To anyone else looking at
And
this, it's like a bed. So what? It's like no, 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 no. They did it right. This is what it is.
yeah, so going around sailing, you can find areas like that. If you have your diving gear on, there'll be mermaids. Also, they'll ask you riddles, and will give you items. There's lots of fun little side events in sailing. Um, there's a bunch of random drink crates floating around the high seas, and if you find them and open them, you get a drink in it, and you can drink the drink. And you get a little experience, but they do a whole lot of random effects, not all of which are good.
Okay.
Um, there's one you drink off the island of souls, and the character Death shows up and is like, "Why did you drink concentrated souls? Don't do that." And then you almost die.
I feel like that was like death kind of just took it easy on you. Like what is this island called again? Did you read the sign? Why on earth would you do this?
So in the early eras of RuneScape, back when I was a kid, when you died, all of your stuff went on the ground,
Mhm.
except for your three most valuable items, unless you had a skull over your head, which meant you attacked another player in a PvP area called the Wilderness, where it's sort of a free for all zone. In which case, if you're skulled, you lose everything. If not, you keep your three most valuable things. Everything else goes on the ground. And back in the day, everyone else could see that once it was on the ground. So you might be out and about and see a guy dying to a strong monster or fighting a monster, but it looks like it's not going well. It's often in your best interest to see how he does.
Ah, I see. Like,
And as the game progressed longer and certain items were added that were more and more valuable, because RuneScape has an issue like most MMOs do with real world trading, where people will pay real money for in-game items, which the devs discourage. You're getting to the point where items that might be $1,000 in actual money due to their rarity or difficulty to obtain. So they kind of got rid of some of that aspect. So now your items go to a gravestone when you die, but you can death also has an office through a portal in the town of Lumbridge, which is the starting town. And you can just go in his office and he's behind a desk and you can pay him a fee to get all your stuff back. So he's an all right guy.
okay. I mean, that's actually quite nice. That's probably one of the nicer versions of death I've met in a video game. Just has its own little 9 to 5 job. I was thinking with the coral frags, I think it would be really cool, and I don't know if RuneScape would ever do it. Like if they partnered with one of the coral farming organizations and like, hey guys, if you plant blah 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 number of corals, we will match that for like coral restoration research. Like there's been things like that done with gaming before. I think that might take off.
Yeah, so there was a thing way, way, way back in the day, and I've mentioned the rarity of pets in RuneScape. Typically, have a very rare drop rate. I only have the one where I got very lucky with. I want to say there was a promotion. This was way back before the era of old school RuneScape, where they did some tie-in with like a big, not big cat rescue, not that, but like a rescue that involves big cats or a big cat, protection organization type of thing. And by donating X amount of gold, the company would then donate actual money in a proportion to that, and you would have a chance to get like an in-game little snow leopard pet or something. But that was scrapped a really long. I think there was a lot of issues in game and some weird charity stuff, so that was scrapped a really long time ago. But I would love to see something like that, especially with corals. Maybe they can do something to raise awareness about coral farming and the fact that corals, a lot of reefs are in a lot of trouble. But it's not as doom and gloom as people like to act like it is. Corals can be reestablished, they can be saved. We see places where people are working to reestablish coral beds. Things like that are doable. So it's important not to just focus on the amount of reefs lost every year and realize that we can, with effort, try to preserve and restore things.
And hopefully RuneScape will do its part on that. Don, I gotta say, this is incredible the amount of work these people did.
If you download it, you can come hang out on my boat. There was a fun glitch, well not glitch, but so the boat names are randomized.
Oh no.
Um, yes, which they left out most things that were obviously, but they were basically just all things that are in game names. So like most of which is fine. There have been a few I've seen online. They have added the ability to rename your boat. You actually need a fairly high sailing level to do so. Otherwise, you can destroy your boat and buy a new one in game, which is not too expensive if you're of any decent amount of like money in the game. But so far, I have the Wandering Manta is my proud vessel.
That's a
So that's a
really
fine name.
yeah, that's a
That will
great
not.
name. I thought it was going to be
Yes,
something
yes,
worse.
they're very randomized.
Uh,
Um, I'll tell you about a few I've seen online after
yeah.
we finish the show.
No worries. On that note, we are going to start wrapping up. Again, Don, thank you so much for doing the research on this one. I don't know enough about RuneScape, but it's clear that everyone should, given the amount of work these people have done to like just make this happen.
Like I said, it's really fun, and the sailing skill is a member skill, which I mean, if you there is a paid membership and there's a free to play as well. Free to play is really fun. It's definitely a pared down variant of the game, but you can get a lot of time into it just on the free to play mode. Uh, we are not sponsored. I'm just shilling now. The mobile app version is honestly great. I mean, it's a game that was made to run on potato PCs in 2004, so it's going to run better on your phone than it did when you were a kid.
Dang. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.